Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Periscope. I'm Joy Barrett. If you want to find out more information about what we do, we've got a website called the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. If you're watching, we ask you to subscribe to our Periscope so you know when we are putting out a Periscope and we can interact together. So we're going to cover 6 vegetables that everybody should grow. Now these 6 vegetables can be grown in containers, raised beds, or traditional ground garden. So you have no excuse why you're not going to grow these. And then I'll give you 2 honorable mention vegetables that are honorable mention, and I'll get to them. So, number 1, leaf lettuce can be grown early in the spring, can be grown late in the fall, takes 50 to 60 days to reach maturity, and there's a variety of different types of leaf lettuce. Leaf lettuce is not always green. Leaf lettuce can be a red, purple, green with red stripes, a lot of different varieties. And it's very easy to grow. And when you save your leaf lettuce seeds, you can get thousands of seeds you can save by letting it go to seed, and you can have endless supply of lettuce seeds. So lettuce can be grown in a container. If you're going to grow lettuce in any form, I would recommend growing it in a partial shade, meaning 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, so you can extend your harvest. Now, another thing about lettuce, you plant a little, you get a lot. So you want to succession plant lettuce, which means this week you plant 1 square foot, next week you plant 1 square foot, the week after that you plant 1 square foot. So you're always harvesting a group of lettuce, so you don't have everything come to harvest at once, because you can't save lettuce. Lettuce is really, if you're going to harvest it, it's best to eat it that day, because you maybe can get 2 or 3 days of refrigerator life out of it. But after that, you can't can it, you can't freeze it. It's a fresh produce. Another one, radishes. Radishes are every shape, size, and color of the rainbow. It's the quickest vegetable you're going to grow. This can be grown again in all 3 categories: raised bed, traditional ground garden, and containers. It takes 18 to 32 days to reach maturity for your normal red radishes, your French breakfast radishes, your icicle radishes. The black radishes will take a little bit longer and they get a little more heat, but your general red radish, traditional red radish, champion red radish, takes about 30 days. And the greens are edible as well. You can stir fry those. The bulb is what we traditionally eat as an edible portion. So radishes can be grown in the same form as lettuce, early in the spring, late in the fall. With radishes, you can pickle the bulb. You can prolong the life of that, but it's really, you can eat it, eat it fresh, and you want to succession plant that as well. And whenever the radishes go to seed, which means the plant senses the warmth of the day and the length of the daylight, it goes to seed to start reproducing seeds as nature has intended it for. The green pods on the actual stalk are edible, and they taste just like the bulb, so keep that in mind. So lettuce, radishes, fall and spring, you can plant both of them in all types. Next one, everybody's favorite, which is the tomato. Tomatoes there's about 10,000 different varieties, and that's not that's a pretty close estimation right now based on what we've seen and what we've found. You can get them absolutely in every single color of the rainbow, from bright red to white to black to purple, and every shade of color in between. You can get them in cherry form, marble form, grape form, as well as the big giant beefsteak, as we're all familiar with, that the heirloom varieties. That is what they call a sandwich slicer. That'll cover an entire sandwich. So you can grow these. They have tomatoes come in 2 different categories: determinate, meaning growing to a certain height, bearing all their fruit, and indeterminate, meaning they'll grow indefinitely until the cold weather kills them, and they'll put on fruit throughout their growing life. Now, based on where you're at, what your growing situation is, determines whether or not, or what variety you decide to purchase or start from seed. If you have a lot of space, indeterminate's great. Most indeterminate varieties are cherry varieties. There are some cherry varieties that are determinate now. If you're in a small area, container garden, 5-gallon bucket, 20-gallon grow bag, a determinate variety would be ideal because it's going to be very compact, very easy to maintain. But again, all your fruit is going to be put on in about a 2-week span. So maybe you can trim the indeterminates back to kind of control them a little bit. So that's something you can look into. But tomatoes, very easy crop to grow. You just need a little care to get them going, a little maintenance. You can have fresh tomatoes all summer long. And you can can them, you can freeze them, you can do almost virtually anything to store them. The next one, beans. And I'm really targeting more of the green beans or the edible pod beans. Green beans now come in, well, they always have. We've just been more familiar with them now. Traditional green beans, green. They also have yellow pod beans as well as purple pod beans, which I believe are called a royalty bean. The thing with the purple green beans, that's what we call the purple edible pod beans, is when you cook them, the purple color disappears and they turn green. It's not some genetically modified weird thing. That's just the way nature has made them. They're an heirloom variety, very nice, very pretty. And the thing about if you have sight problems where it's hard to identify picking beans off of a stalk,
like I do,
like Holly does, you want to get a color, a yellow pod bean or a purple pod bean to where you can identify the color better. Both of these, they come in pole beans, which means they grow up a structure, as well as bush beans. So whichever one fits better in your area. There are advantages to both of these varieties, pole and bush. Bush puts on beans at about 40 days to 60 days, and they'll run about a 2 to 4 week span, and that's pretty much the extent of the production of that plant. Whole beans, on the other hand, will put on beans at about a 70 to 80 day mark, and they'll put on beans and pods for a much longer time span than the bush beans. So keep that in mind, which may be best for you in your growing area. The fifth vegetable that everybody should be growing is leeks. Leeks may not be something that you're thinking about. It is relatable to the onion, but it doesn't bulb. The leek in America, we are taught or learn that we eat the bleached portion of the bottom of the root. In other countries, they utilize the whole plant by eating the other the green portion of the plant, or dehydrating the other portions of the green portion of the plant, and then using it in stir-fry soups as seasoning. Leeks take about 90 to 150 days, 90 to 150 days based on the variety. And we still have leeks. It's the early portion of the year. We still have leeks from last year that we haven't harvested, but we'll harvest them before the days get warm, because the leeks are a biannual, which means they'll grow to their normal stature the first year, and then the second year, they will put all their energy into a seed stalk and put a giant flower head on where thousands of seeds are at. So we'll harvest these all before that time comes. But leeks, it's basically a zero effort plant to grow. We couldn't grow onions for a couple of years. We grew leeks bigger than broom handles. Phenomenal plant to grow, very easy to grow, very compact to grow. You can grow them in all different raised bed, traditional ground, and containers. So it's something that you might want to look into if you're having problems with onions, or you just want a different type of vegetable. The sixth vegetable that everybody should be growing is kale. This is a curly leaf kale. There's Russian red kale, there's dinosaur kale. Kale has so many, what is the benefit of kale? Has the vitamins, minerals.
Yeah, it's got a lot of vitamins, minerals. It's got protein, and it's got a lot of fiber. It's just a superfood. A
superfood, and kale will grow all summer long. It can handle the cool of the spring, cool of the fall, and it's one of these plants that you can harvest and it'll keep coming back. If you harvest leaves at a time, you don't want to just cut the whole plant down, because then it'll take a very long time to generate. So kale, there's many different varieties of kale. Kale is something that everybody should be growing, even if it's just one plant in a container on a patio porch or balcony. So those are the 6 plants that we all should be growing no matter what our situation is. Leaf lettuce, radishes, tomatoes, beans, leeks, as well as kale. Now I'm going to give you 2 honorable mentions of 2 items that you could grow, but those 6 are really the easy ones that are very easy to grow. The honorable mentions are, one is potatoes. Potatoes, I put in honorable mentions because the traditional potato takes early varieties 70 to 90 days, mid varieties 90 to 110 days, and the late varieties 110 to 130 days to reach maturity. Potatoes can be fidgety. What I mean by that is, based on the area you live in, your soil conditions, you may have tremendous success. Or you might just have an average harvest or a below average harvest. The soil in our large garden, if you see the videos on our website, we have an average harvest of potatoes. Now, when we harvest them at Holly's sister's backyard, we have a phenomenal harvest, more than we can handle, because the soil composition is different. So by putting these, growing these, you want to figure out what potatoes do best in your area. You want to get potatoes planted very early, when the soil temperature is a minimum consistent temperature of 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And doesn't drop below that, because the potato will sit there and rot. Soil temperatures that exceed 85 degrees to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter what stage the potato is in, it will stop growing immediately. It will die. So they're not a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are tropical. Regular potatoes are a cooler weather crop. The other plant, and these can be grown in all types of methods, ground container, raised bed, straw bale. There's all different types. The final honorable mention vegetable is garlic. We grow 3 different types of garlic at our garden: Spanish Roja, German Hardy, and what's the other one? Georgia Crystal. Those are all hardneck varieties. Now, garlic is a different type of vegetable. It is a bulb, and it takes about 9 months to grow. It will not do very well in containers. So raised beds and ground gardens are ideal for garlic. And it's more of a northern climate vegetable because it needs a certain amount of cold hours to do its thing. Now, if you're in a warmer climate area, there are techniques that will allow you to grow garlic fairly successfully. We won't get into that right now, but generally you plant garlic about a month before the ground freezes, which allows the garlic to get established. You have cloves that you break off. You don't plant the whole bulb. Cloves you break off, you plant in the ground about 2 inches deep, and you allow it to develop roots. And you'll see some growth, top growth, but that's not a big concern. It'll set over winter. We do not mulch our garlic. We've had some of the coldest winters on record here in southeast Wisconsin. Haven't mulched the garlic, had phenomenal success. So when it comes to garlic, then in the spring, you will see it start to emerge. It'll get a garlic scape on it. You'll harvest that scape. That's actually the seed pod that you can use and eat. And when you cut that scape off, it puts more energy into the bulb and makes the bulb larger. And then once the bottom leaves begin to die off, then you can harvest your bulb. So it's not something for everybody, but once you've had homegrown garlic or farmer's market garlic, you won't buy the store-bought stuff again that has come from Asia in a hydroponic system and you're not really sure what it is. So thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to check out the website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Click on the red button, send us a question, subscribe to our Periscope. Those are 6 vegetables and 2 honorable mentions of vegetables that we all should be growing no matter where we live.